A very pleasant morning, everyone. Hope this morning finds you agile and active, and I'm sure you had a good sleep and you are fresh to begin the day with English class. We have finished a prose yesterday titled From the Diary of a Young Girl. I'm sure you understood the lesson as it is a very simple lesson, and I also gave you the character sketches of those three main characters in the autobiography. Today we shall move on to the next prose. As we begin the day, let me just read the quote which is in the slide. Take every chance you get in life because some things only happen once. I repeat, take every chance you get in life because some things only happen once. Meaning to say, God offers us opportunities at times only once. When we miss, we will miss the bus. We will never be able to compensate. We will never be able to reach up to that level if we move off the tangent. So the chance that God has given us today, the 45 minutes, let us make the best use of it so that we learn and we get ourselves focused and we get ourselves geared up towards the board exam preparation. So take every chance you get in life because some things only happen once. Don't miss. It could be time, it could be learning, it could be talking to people, it could be relationships, it could be hard work, it could be responsibility, it could be helping your parents. Every chance you get in life because one day it happens sometime only once. In this technological era and this technological revolution which was made possible through a modern invention called internet, we all speak of connectivity and we say connectivity is good, bad, according to which communication becomes easy. Prayer is the most important platform through which communication takes place between man and God. And we are at the beginning of the day, and therefore, let us communicate to this great Almighty who is responsible for the breath of life that all of us enjoy. And He has made this day possible for us when so many people couldn't see November 26th. November 25th was the last day of their life. So, with the gratitude, let us get connected to this Almighty. Kindly close your eyes and join me in this prayer. Open my mind to your grace, O Lord, as I begin my study today. You are the source of all wisdom and truth. So guide me along the right path, that I may persevere in my studies and scholarship. May I learn well what I need to know. May I understand what I need to learn. May I remember what I need to explain. We make this prayer in the name of the Almighty God. Amen. If you look at the world, we find a big disparity between people. Some people with plenty, some people with poverty. Some people have plenty and some people with poverty. Some people waste a lot of things, some people have nothing to feed their stomach on, nothing to fill their stomach. So we see all around us wastage is taking place in enormous quantity. You can just look at the picture, you find how much food is being wasted, how much vegetables being wasted. Wastage has become a norm of today. It could be food, it could be clothing, it could be gadgets, it could be time, it could be money, everything. People are so casual about wasting things. On the other hand, if you look at the next image, you will find there are millions of children who say, you look at the picture, the first picture, so innocent the child looks, and she is holding a placard, I'm hungry. There's another child who's holding a placard, please help. And you find those little children sitting with a plate, waiting for food. You can see poverty, expectation, impoverishment in their face. So, in the guise of people who are hungry, in the guise of people who are waiting for some help, it is ridiculous to waste food. It is ridiculous to waste anything. That's why Gandhiji said, we have enough to feed our need, but we do not have enough to feed our greed. I think as we are going to learn this lesson, let's ask ourselves, are we people who have what is needed? Or are we people who are feeding our greed? We have to look at the things that we have. It could be clothing in particular. Do we just amass clothing, or are we people who have what is enough? I think this lesson that we are going to see will help us to arrive at this value called to live with what we need and not to live with the greed. So let's resolve that we will avoid wastage of water, food, time, money, clothing, wastage of anything, because there are people, millions of people who do not have, who lack, and millions of people go hungry every day. Let's get back to the next prose. The title, The 100 Dresses, Part 1. That's the reason probably I was speaking about wastage of dresses. Some dress which we hardly use once in a year. So it is high time that we discard that which we don't need. So let's get back to the lesson, The 100 Dresses, Part 1. It's good to know about the author, and because only when we know about the author we'll be able to understand the writing, the inner feeling behind that which is written. And the author of this particular prose, The 100 Dresses, Part 1 and Part 2, is L. Sir Esther. L. Sir Esther is the author's name. And you can look at the image of L. Sir Esther. She looks rather very charming, young, energetic, and you can see a person with a lot. Maybe she had the skills of listening, observing things. And to get to know something about her, she was born in West Haven, Connecticut, the United States on May 9th, 1906, and she died on July 15, 1988. And she was very fond of writing books, especially for children. And she was an American children's author. And she was born in West Haven, Connecticut, as Eleanor Ruth Rosenfield. Originally, she was a librarian, and Esther's writing career began following a case of tuberculosis. When she was affected with tuberculosis, she began to take in writing. Bedridden while recovering, Esther began writing down some of her childhood memories, which could later turn into full-length children's books. So it is at the time of illness that she began to scribble down her memories of childhood, and that at length became books dedicated to children. And Esther's books like Ginger Pie 1951 won the Newbery Medal, and 3 other books, The Middle Moffat, Rufus M., The 100 Dresses that we have as a prose, were chosen as Newbery Honor Books. And she also received the Certificate of Award for Outstanding Contribution to Children's Literature and was nominated for the Laura Ingalls Wilder Award. By the time of her death at age 82, Estes had written about 19 children for books. This is about the author. A little more information. If you want, you can also read that which is given in gist. This could be a sort of a summary to that which is said in the slide. So if you look at her life, you find the writings emerge out of experience, and that has come about very strongly at the time of her illness when she was affected by TB, tuberculosis. And she in particular has written everything for children, about 19 books. Having heard about the author, L. Sir Esther or Eleanor Estes, Let's me introduce it for you. The lesson, The 100 Dresses Part 1, is about a girl named Wanda who claims to have 100 dresses. Her classmates made fun of her because what she claims is in contradiction to the fact that she was always seen wearing the same dress. Her classmates found her name to be funny. It was because everyone had easier names than Wanda Petronski. Her name was different because she was a Polish immigrant who had come to an American town with her family. She was poor and did not have many friends. She was quiet and was always seen sitting in the corner of the classroom. The truth about the 100 dresses unveiled when she submitted her 100 drawings in a drawing contest. They were the same 100 dresses she used to talk about. All of them were immensely beautiful. So before we go into the explanation, let me give a summary of the lesson so that in a nutshell you know what we are going to see about. The 100 Dresses Part 1 is a story about a quiet and a shy girl named Wanda Petronski, a Polish immigrant to America with her family. She attended school with American children who found her name to be strange and probably the weirdest in the classroom. This is because they all had easier names. She was poor and was always seen wearing faded blue dress. Her classmates teased her because she claimed to have 100 dresses all lined up in her closet, albeit always being seen wearing one. The ones who mainly teased her were the two best friends, Peggy and Maddie. Peggy was the most famous girl in school, while anyone barely knew Wanda. Peggy and Maddie used to wait for Wanda before school, even if it meant getting late. Maddie, a poor girl herself, did not like when Peggy made fun of Wanda. She feared that she could be next. She wanted Peggy to stop making fun of Wanda, but could not summon courage to face her as she feared she would lose her best friend. However, Peggy's intention, but she was curious as to why Wanda had to lie that she had 100 dresses in her closet. Truth about the same 100 dresses unveiled on the result day of the drawing competition. The room was lined with 100 drawings portraying different dresses, each so beautiful. That day, she truly had 100 dresses all lined up, but in the classroom. At that moment, Peggy and Maddie were awestruck, realized the theory of 100 dresses, and felt guilty about having treated her badly. So, having introduced the lesson, having given you the summary of the lesson in a nutshell, let me move on to the explanation part. Can you take page 64? And when you look at the first few paragraphs, you find a new word called scuffling of feet. The meaning of scuffling of feet, the phrase scuffling of feet means noisy, dragging movements of the feet on the ground. What is the author trying to communicate through this particular paragraph? The fact that Wanda was not present on Tuesday as well got unnoticed because it was on Wednesday when Maddie and Peggy noticed her absence. It was also then when they waited before school to make fun of her, but instead ended up getting late because she didn't show up. Peggy was the most famous girl who wore good and tidy clothes. She sat with the toppers of the class. No one ever got curious about why Wanda was no longer coming to school. All they cared was they couldn't make fun of her. Kindly take page 65. Wanda was a Pole who had emigrated to America. Her fellow classmates thought that Wanda Petronski was a strange name because they had simpler and easier American names, except a guy named Willie Bounce, which they thought sounded funny, but still lesser than Petronsky. They found a name to be long and unfamiliar. This shows that those children didn't understand diversity, and whatever they did was done out of thoughtlessness. And if you carry on with page 65, you come across there is one phrase called didn't hang right. It means didn't fit properly. And there's a word called hopscotch, which means a game in which children hop into and over squares marked on the ground. And the meaning of the paragraph that follows is Wanda was usually seen wearing a faded blue dress that did not fit her properly. Though clean, it used to look unironed. This shows that Wanda belonged to a poor family who could not afford too many dresses. Ironically, a lot of people talked to her, but she didn't have any friends because all of them talked to her in order to make fun of her. From her tale about 100 dresses to her unfamiliar name, they found it all amusing. When she used to watch little girls play in the ground, it was at the time other students surrounded her to mock her. When she used to watch little girls play in the ground, it was at that time other students surrounded her to mock her. Pages 65 to 66, you will come across certain new words. Nudge means a gentle push. Incredulously means showing unwillingness to believe. Courteous means polite, respectful. Stolidly means calm, dependable, and showing little emotion and animation. Shrieks means scream. What does this paragraph mean? It means with no intentions of hurting her, Peggy used to ask the number of dresses Wanda has in a very polite and respectful tone. They made fun of her because they couldn't understand why she made up that story about 100 dresses. They did all this while being ignorant of the fact that it could hurt her. No one would believe her when she said she possessed 100 dresses all lined up in her closet. As the other girls screamed in astonishment, the little girls would stop playing in order to see what was going on. Wanda would affirm their queries that she had dresses made of velvet and silk too. Sadly, after she left, they all used to laugh at her. Take the paragraph at the end of page 66. Then we come across certain words and phrases. Exaggerated means overemphasize. Her eyes dull, which means having eyes wanting brightness, liveliness, and vivacity. And there is a word called bullies, that means someone who hurts or frightens someone else, often over a period of time, and forcing them to do something that they do not want to do. That's called bullying, bullies. Mistreated means to treat someone badly. So what does these paragraphs mean in this context and in this lesson? It was hard to believe that Wanda said because the only dress she was seen wearing was the blue one that was faded. No one was sure as to why she lied. Although they were teasing her, they were never rude to her. Thus, in the same tone, they continued asking her about the number of shoes she said she had, to which she replied 60, each pair different. It was Peggy's idea to embarrass her like that, though she was polite. Peggy and Maddie, the inseparable friends, were the last ones to leave school, while Wanda would go back all alone with her dull eyes and behaved in a strange way. Peggy was not the mean girl she had been portrayed as until now. She saved kids from whoever was hurting them and couldn't stand animals getting badly treated. According to her, she was not being rude to Wanda. She thought it was very weird of Wanda to lie about the number of dresses she possessed. And if anything was weirder, it was her name, Weirdier. No matter how much they teased Wanda, they never made her cry. Can you take the last part of page 66 and page 67? Maddie did not like the idea of making fun of the number of clothes and accessories Wanda possessed, not because she cared about her, but because she was poor herself. She wore clothes that were given to her by someone else, and she was not as poor as Wanda. She did not live in Boggins Heights and did not even have a weird name. Maddie didn't feel very comfortable teasing Wanda, and when Peggy used to ask Wanda those questions, she would silently count the marbles in her hand, pretending to play with them. If the dress game hadn't been invented, Maddie would have never known about the very existence of Wanda. She felt uncomfortable not because she cared about Wanda, but because she was worried she could be next. Although she was not senseless enough to say she had 100 dresses, she still wished that Peggy did not tease Wanda. Wanda didn't come that day, and after having waited for us so long, Maddie and Peggy got late for school. Maddie was secretly happy that they could not get a chance to make fun of Wanda. She was lost in her own thoughts and couldn't study properly. All this time, she kept thinking about writing a note to Peggy, telling her to stop making fun of Wanda, which she did right after finishing arithmetic. She wanted to write a note because she knew she did not have the guts to say it on her face. We shall move on to pages 67 to 68. And there are certain words that we need to know the meaning. Namely, shuddered means shake, tremble. Disguise means to give a different appearance to conceal its identity. And there are words like scarcely means hardly, barely. Trimmings means decoration. Sash means a long strip or loop of cloth worn over one shoulder or round the waist, especially as pattern of a uniform or official dress. Pretended means not genuine. Admiration means respect and warm approval. So what does these paragraphs mean on pages 67 and 68? While writing the note to Peggy, Maddie shook at the imagination of her being a new target for Peggy and the girls. She was afraid that they would ask where she got the dress from, which was actually Peggy's. Maddie's mother got it transformed with new laces and ribbons so that none of her classmates could identify it. She wished Peggy stopped having fun with Wanda on her own. Suddenly she ran her hand through her hair as a gesture to drive away all those thoughts. She said to herself, Peggy is the most liked girl in the room, her best friend, and so she couldn't be wrong. Thus she tore and threw that note away. She was also afraid of losing her friend Peggy. After Maddie had cleared her thoughts about confessing to Peggy, she started thinking about Wanda. She thought that Wanda was just another girl living in Boggins Heights who hardly spoke to anybody. She remembers that Wanda talked about her pale blue dress and jungle green dress paired with a red sash. The girls made fun of her by saying that she'd rather look like a Christmas tree in that dress. We shall move on to page number 68. There are two words whose meanings you need to know. Drizzling means to rain lightly. Hurried means quick. Let's get to know the explanation of the text. While thinking about Wanda, Maddie began thinking about the drawing contest in which the boys had to design motorboats and the girls had to design dresses. Peggy was the obvious winner of that competition because she was the best artist in the room. She could copy exact pictures and recognizable portraits. She was sure that Peggy would win and results were to be announced the next day when everyone would know what's what. The day when the results were to be announced, it was raining lightly and thus The two best friends ran quickly to school without waiting for Wanda. Generally, they used to wait for her at the Oliver Street that led to Boggins Heights, the place where Wanda lived, because they didn't wait that day. Even if it wasn't raining that day, they wouldn't have waited for her because the day was crucial as the results were to be announced. Page 69. There are certain words whose meaning you need to know. Gasped means to catch one's breath with an open mouth, owing to pain or astonishment. Ledge means shelf. Window sill means ledge or sill forming the bottom part of a window. Dazzling means extremely impressive, beautiful or skillful. Lavish means gorgeous. Murmured means say something in a low or distinct voice. Admiringly means in a way that shows respect or warm approval. Assembled means to gather together in one place for a common purpose. So let's get to know the explanation of these texts. When the best friends entered the classroom, Peggy asked Maddie if Miss Mason would announce the results or not, to which Maddie said yes. Maddie told her that she believed Peggy would win, but to their utmost surprise, when they entered the class, there were drawings all over the room, bright and brilliant. They left everyone in awe. These were the drawings for the contest. Miss Mason announced the winners after everyone had settled. Amongst the boys, Jack Beggles had won. He drew an outboard motor which was displayed in room number 12 along with drawings made by other boys. So let's take the last part of pages 69 and the beginning of page 70. If we look at the text, this is what we need to understand from the text. She then talked about girls' submissions. She mentioned that there was one such girl who had submitted 100 designs, each so beautiful that the judges felt that any out of them was worthy of the gold medal. Miss Mason was very proudly announced Wanda as the winner of the competition. She continued and sadly mentioned that Wanda has not been coming since days, hoping should be there the next day. She instructed everyone to look at the flawless collection, to which everyone applauded and whistled. Saw the blue dress that Wanda had talked about. It was beautiful. Peggy sighed. I thought I could draw, which means that the drawings left her in immense admiration. So we have seen the lesson in detail, and I have given you the meanings of difficult words, and I explained the entire storyline paragraph by paragraph. I'm sure you were able to understand the story and the characters. Now it's time to evaluate. Let's see how much you have understood the lesson. Let's see how many of you will be outstanding in the questions that are given as part of evaluation. Excellent, very good, average, below average. Let me read the questions for you, and I expect you to answer these questions when you reach this stage of the lesson in your copies. L. Sir Esther was born in Dash. Question number 2. Name the book that won the author Newbery Medal. Question number 3. Does the title of the lesson indicate real 100 dresses or indicates something else? Question number 4. Why was the name of Wanda Petronsky different from others? Number 5. Write a sentence using the phrase didn't hang right. Number 6. Write the meanings of the following words: windowsill, sash, trimmings, shuddered, bullies. And lastly, what have you learnt from the lesson? Please try to complete this, and this should be submitted normally at the end of the week on Saturday. I'm sure you liked the way I explained the lesson, the exposition of the lesson, very systematically, starting with the author, then introducing the lesson, giving the summary of the lesson, then taking you into the part of the explanation paragraph by paragraph by giving you hints about difficult words, and we also did an evaluation how much you have understood to details. It's now to recap what we have seen all through these 30 to 40 minutes. So let me recapitulate by highlighting the significant stages in the story. The first significant stage is Wanda's absence. What does that mean? When the story opens, Wanda Petronsky, the protagonist, is absent from the class. Ironically, it is a prolonged absence that makes the other girls take notice of her, for now they have no one to make fun of. Stage 2. Wanda is constantly teased by her classmates. Wanda's classmates find her strange because she has a name that is unusual and difficult to pronounce. She is poorer than most of them. Most importantly, her difference comes from her country of origin. She is the only Polish girl in a classroom full of Americans. The stage of the story invites us to reflect upon several important questions, namely, shouldn't we be more accepting of people with different social, cultural, and economic backgrounds than our own? What is the most important thing about a person? Is it the money and wealth they possess? Or is it something more abiding than these? Is Wanda's shyness or quietness something inherent in her? Or does it come from the bullying she faces at the hands of her classmates? What can her classmates do to make her feel more at ease? I think these three questions I want you to reflect and put down your answers, which is quite reflective and which will make you think and bring out certain original ideas as a part of reflection out of this beautiful story, which is similar to what you and I would have experienced in the classrooms. And stage 3, Maddie feels embarrassed. Maddie is not comfortable with her classmates teasing Wanda. Interestingly, her disquiet comes not so much from sympathy with Wanda's situation as from her own fear that the joke might next be turned on her because she is poor herself. But she fails to speak up. This stage adds a much needed complexity to the characterization. So far, the characterization has been straightforward. Wanda is poor and insecure while her American classmates were rich and confident. Now we see this is not always the case. And the last stage is the drawing competition and the final turnaround. This is a turning point of the story. Whereas everyone expects Peggy to win the girls' medal, it is Wanda who is the winner. Her elegant designs, 100 of them, decorate the walls of the classroom and win everyone's admiration. The irony of the situation is not lost on the girls, especially Peggy and Maddie. Wanda was not lying after all when she had said that she had 100 dresses all lined up in her closet. The girl whom everyone made fun of as a last laugh. I'm sure the story, the prose that we have seen titled The 100 Dresses, is a story which we can easily correlate with the experiences that all of us might have had or might be having. The way we relate to the other classmates of ours and how we try to bully people, not being sensitive to what they go through, and how we can also have surprises as we had in the case of Wanda in the story. It's very practical lesson, and I want you to reflect especially on the question that I posed towards the end when I was trying to recapitulate the summary of the lesson in the form of different stages in the story. So keep reflecting and be aware that people are sensitive. Poverty is plenty in this world. So let us be sensitive and be sensible from what God has blessed us. Let us not waste things. Let's not waste money. Let's not waste time. let's not waste anything, because there are people who are poor, people who are hungry, people who are impoverished, people need you and me, people need us. So thanks a lot for listening, and have a wonderful day ahead, and thank you. God bless you.